Good afternoon, girls. Today we are going to talk on a very interesting topic on how we are going to decode feminism. Feminism is a word everybody uses, but feminism is a word that is highly misunderstood. I want to start with this question: why do women write? Is there any need for women to write? And why do they write what they write? We have reached a stage where we have had to have a syllabus entirely on women's studies because this is something that has been ignored by the male society. Now, let us not go into, I'm not talking here as a kind of a rabid feminist, but I just want to talk as a rational woman. So let me put forth a few ideas for you, very easy, very interesting and understandable ideas. Elaine Showalter had talked about the three phases of women's writing, and the first phase was the feminine phase, which is a phase of imitation. Women merely imitated whatever men wrote because they didn't have a role model like the male writers had. Then came a stage of protest where women started becoming feminists, and they started talking about or uncovering the misogyny that is seen in the male text, or rather they were exposing the kind of attitude about women which was being propagated by men. Then came the stage of creativity, which we now call the female phase, where women have started discovering the creativity within themselves, and they've started moving out of a pigeonhole, and they've started exploring a whole lot of topics to write about, whether it is male-female relationship, magic realism, and no topic is brushed under the carpet. Today, everything is brought into the public domain by the women writers. Now, let us take a look at how women have been viewed down the ages, and this is the androcentric view. Androcentric, or referring to andros, the man, because we know it comes from the word, you have the name Andrew, which means manly. So when we say an androcentric view, it is the male view. And how do the men look at women? And this has been internalized by women. Women down the ages have always been seen as the other. They are not the subject, they are the other. Man is the first sex and woman is seen as the second sex. Man is the master group and woman is just the subaltern. She's on the periphery. Man is the master group, woman is the weaker sex. A woman is always seen as a mystery by man because a man doesn't make an attempt to get into the mind of a woman and try to find out what she's thinking. So it's better to term her a mystery. A woman is always seen as a vassal, someone who has to work for man. Woman is always seen as the incidental, just by the way. She is the inessential, whereas man is essential. A woman's role is that of an eternal feminine. In other words, her job is always to inspire the man in her life, not only to serve him, but also to inspire him to achieve greater heights. Now, let us look at, we all study literature, and you see a lot of female characters, especially in the male writers. Now, how do they portray women? They portray them in a very stereotypical fashion. Now, what are stereotypes? It's just a type, as the word says. It's a fixed idea that this is how a woman is to be seen. Not by herself, but by society, but by man. A woman is basically seen as either good or evil. There's nothing in between. She either has to be a Madonna figure or a Sita figure. In other words, a woman has to always do good for others and then she gets worshipped by man. The other characters are the evil characters. They are like the Pandora or the Eve or the Helen figures. Now, if you see Madonna and Sita, these are the selfless, sacrificing women who have been deified. Pandora is a creation of man, and you all know the story that she was an inquisitive woman. She opened the box, which she was not supposed to open, and then what came out of the box? All the evils and the diseases and the destruction came out of Pandora's box. That's why we say Pandora's box. Now, man has decided that everything evil in this world is because of women. And Eve is always considered as an afterthought. She's not the first sex. Adam is the first sex. Eve is only the second sex. And what do the male writers what do the male writers say about Eve? That she was just an afterthought. God did not have a woman in his mind. He had man in his mind first. So, when you tell stories like this, it is to remind women that your place is secondary or subordinate to man. And the story of Helen, that she caused the destruction of Troy. Nobody says that Helen was abducted by Paris. But men would like to say that Helen ran away with Paris, as the result of which an entire city was destroyed. Look at the mandrake and the muse. Woman is seen as either a mandrake or an evil, poisonous root that destroys the life of man, or she is the eternal feminine. She's a muse where she has to inspire man. A woman is seen as a benign mother or as a goddess. If not that, she becomes a wicked stepmother, and you have the mother-in-law syndrome as well. So women are now categorized into two totally binary opposites. They are either this or that. And in literature, when you look at characters who have blonde hair and blue eyes and heart-shaped faces, they are the domesticated women. They are the homemakers. But when you see a woman who's described as a brunette with flashing eyes, red hair, she's seen as a destroyer of a family. Now, these are basically the stereotypes in literature. Now, when you take any character in literature, she will fit in somewhere in this stereotype. Now, let us just see what is the reality and what are the myths. All the jokes that we have in society are about women, they are on women. And for example, a simple joke like when a woman shows her hand or she shows the left indicator, men will say, oh, she's going to turn right because women don't have any driving sense. But these are all myths about women. Look at the other myth, that women are not strong. But reality and research has proved, for instance, that women have a higher IQ by 3%. But how many women realize that they have a higher IQ? They don't realize simply because women have internalized this fact that they have to listen to man. Women are yet to believe that they are equal to man. Women are yet to believe that they are intellectuals. Or sometimes for some women it becomes convenient not to exhibit their intelligence, because then you can always play the second fiddle and get work done for you. Science has also shown that all the 5 senses are superior in women. Women can multitask. Actually, I would tell you that don't find fault with your brother or father or husband when they do only one work at a time, because they simply cannot multitask. When a man drives, he just drives the car. When a woman drives, she talks, she listens to music, she can drive. She cooks, she attends to the children, she takes the phone calls, she can multitask. But a man, he can read the newspaper, he cannot drink his coffee and read the newspaper at the same time. The coffee gets cold. So, when we understand all these scientific facts, the male-female relationship will be better. That is why I'm telling you all this. Research has proved that women have peripheral vision, whereas men have telescopic vision. So women their vision is of a wider angle. And women are physically strong. Remember, we give birth. And there is nothing greater than labor pain. It is women who are carrying all the bricks on their head and building tall structures. Women are physically strong. Look at the women in India carrying pots and pots of water. Why do we think that women are physically inferior to men? So these are all the myths about women. I would just like to cut everything short and remind you girls that being a woman is not something to feel bad about or to regret. But I would suggest that you celebrate the fact of being a woman. Because only when you celebrate being a woman, you can contribute to the society in a substantial way. My slogan would be a woman of substance. Don't listen to stories which tell you that a woman can't do this and can't do that, and she can't do that. And I certainly wouldn't advise women going on the war path for everything. Well, we can all champion our rights. We know that atrocities are taking place, but there are ways of going about it. Women don't, sometimes they don't rationalize and they don't do things the way they should, and that is why we are all categorized as either being cantankerous or being illogical or irrational. Take, for instance, Freud. He compared woman to a vessel, a domestic vessel. He says, unless things are put in unless the ingredients are put in, nothing is cooked. And a woman's mind is just an empty vessel, and all the ideas and thoughts have to be put into her head. Only then she can contribute to society. So, my dear girls, when you make a lot of noise in the class, when you make a lot of noise sitting in the auditorium, you are only proving what Freud has said about women, and you're also proving the adage that says empty vessel makes noise. Now, do we want to be empty vessels, or do we want to be full vessels, contributing to our family, to our society and nation? Thank you very much for listening to me.